So what is up everyone? I want to share a project of mine with you. What you can here see is an Apple Xserve RAID system I've purchased from eBay. It was quite cheap and therefore I made the purchase. You can see the Apple Xserve RAID is an 3U rack mountable storage solution designed for the use with an Xserve or even a Power Macintosh G5 with an installed dual channel 2 GB Apple Fiber Channel PCI X card, which was sold separately. The Xserve RAID features 14 independent ATA 100 drive channels, dual independent RAID controllers, each with 512 MB of control cache memory, 8 MB of on-drive cache per drive, a dual 2 GB fiber channel host interface with SFP connectors, redundant load sharing, hot swappable 450 watt power supplies, redundant hot swappable cooling modules, and optional cache battery backup modules that provide 72 hours of backup power. This model, the A1009, is quite similar to the original Xserve RAID, but it has 512 MB of control cache memory as standard. You can see it supports a total of 14 drives, and Apple has increased the maximum official supported capacity several times. It was 3.5 TB in RAID 0 on January the 6th, 2004 when it was introduced, 5.6 TB on October 19th, 2004, and 7 TB on the September 13th, 2005 as the new Xserve models were introduced and larger drives became available. So you can have this model configured with either 4 250 GB or 7 500 GB or 14 500 GB drives. The model you can look here is quite an unspec'd one. You can see it has only just one drive, which I can't explain why that is so. So there's just one drive included, having 400 GB of memory. The original prices that were listed for this piece of equipment were $5,999 to $12,999 US. And as you could have seen, it's quite large, hugely heavy, and it's quite loud as well. So I've purchased this unit to do a little project for myself. So the first thing you have to know about this is that there is a difference between an empty cartridge and a full cartridge. They look quite differently. So what you can see here is the typical empty cartridge. It just slots in there and then you press it like that. But you can see, if you compare it by the length, there is, as you can see, a lot missing down there, and also there are no LED indication lights in there. If you have a look at this full cartridge, there are two LEDs up front. There is the hard drive in there, and on the back you have a port which you didn't have on the empty drive. So for the project I had to buy the cartridges which can include an hard drive. So if you pull the hard drive out and unplug the cables, you can see the main difference between the empty cartridge and the full cartridge. So if you look in here, you have a Molex power adapter and an IDE data cable. You can release the sides on here, and then you can see the adapter where everything is happening. So what you have here is an SCSI 80 port. So you have 80 pins in here which connect right to the internals, and then you have an adapter to an IDE cable. So what I did was I bought all the needed cartridges which included this adapter, and then I installed them. So here you can see the remaining 13 cartridges that I've purchased, and you put them in like that. You press in there, out comes the handle, you pull it out and then put it aside. You take one of the cartridges, you have to insert them in the right way, insert them and then push until it locks and release it. And then you continue this process with all of the remaining drives. So now we have a fully loaded Xserve RAID system, which was including the drives would cost me around $13,000 in the year 2009. So after upgrading all of the cartridges to real functional cartridges, you can proceed in 3 different ways. Way number 1 is the simplest. You just put those cartridges out, then you buy a lot of IDE drives, put them in there, connect them, insert them, boom, the way you go. You can use your old Xserve RAID with all your old IDE drives. But there are 2 disadvantages. Advantage number 1 is that the drives only will go up to 500 gigabytes, and if you find them, they are quite expensive. So then you can have 14 times 500 gigabytes in your RAID system. That's not much in today's standards and would be quite expensive because those hard drives aren't that easy to find. So upgrade number 2 could be that you buy adapters that would fit in those cartridges, which would convert the Molex and the IDE to an SATA mini adapter, so that you can fit those microscopic notebook hard drives in there. And the downside to this method is that you just can use one type of adapters, and they are quite expensive. The adapters cost around 20 euros, and you can use drives up to 1 terabyte, so there you can double your capacity. So from 7 terabyte you can go up to 14 terabyte of storage space, which is not that bad, but considering the amount of cost for those drives, which are quite a lot more expensive than the big ones, and considering the times, the cost of the adapters, and that you're limited with the drives to just 1 terabyte, that wasn't the way I want to go. What I want to go is eliminate the original hardware in this case, just leaving the cartridges and the backplate, which you can see in the moment, and build a different server all the way through, which would also be quite a lot quieter and quite a lot cheaper to run, and you can add a lot more of storage in there. Especially what you have to do is you have to put another you have to adapt your big SATA to this cable, and then you have to put a whole new motherboard and stuff in the case to make it work. So that's the goal of my project. So I can insert a lot of different sized drives up to unlimited space in there, and run this with at least 3 or 5 terabyte per drive.